Get out. My father didn't whisper it. He didn't hesitate. He screamed it across the living room while my suitcase hit the floor, and my stepmother stood behind him smiling like the script was finally going her way. They thought I was leaving with nothing. They didn't know the mortgage on that house had been in my name for 3 years. Stay with me, because what happened 90 days later made my father knock on my door for the first time in his life. My name is Abigail Mercer. I was 28 the night I became officially disposable. The house on Birch Hollow Drive had been my childhood home. Brick colonial, uneven front step, maple tree in the backyard that dropped leaves in October like clockwork. My father liked routine, structure, predictability. He had worked 30 years at First Continental Bank. He believed in degrees, titles, conventional success. I believed in art. That was the original fracture. My mother died when I was 15. Cancer. After that, my father hardened. Not cruel, just rigid. He replaced grief with control. When Eleanor entered our lives, everything accelerated. She was polished, precise, always dressed like she was stepping into a boardroom. She called my art history degree a hobby with paperwork. She called my job at Bennett Gallery temporary. She called me sweet but impractical. 6 months into their relationship, she moved in. 3 months after that, my mother's jewelry disappeared. I asked questions. She accused me of jealousy. My father believed her. Then came the bank statements. $25,000 transferred, then $40,000, then another $30,000, all into Eleanor's personal account. When I confronted her, she smiled. "You don't understand how finances work." I understood perfectly. That night, I told my father what I found. He didn't ask for proof. He didn't check the account. He just shouted, "Get out!" He threw my suitcase onto the lawn. Neighbors watched through curtains. Rain fell, and I drove away. They assumed I would break, that I would call, beg, apologize, return. I didn't. What my father didn't know was that 3 years earlier, I had quietly purchased the mortgage note on Birch Hollow Drive. He thought he refinanced through First Continental. He didn't realize the note had been sold, bundled, restructured, and acquired by a small, private holding firm, owned by me. I didn't buy it to trap him. I bought it because the numbers made sense, because distressed mortgage instruments can be undervalued, because I read fine print, and because I had learned not to rely on verbal security. When I left that house, I wasn't leaving powerless. I was leaving patient. 2 days later, my father called. "You embarrassed us," he said. I didn't respond. 3 weeks later, Eleanor listed the house for sale, aggressively priced. She wanted liquidity, fast. That's when I called my attorney. If someone ever tells you to get out like you have no leverage, you already understand what comes next. When Eleanor listed the house, she thought she was controlling the timeline. She thought forcing a sale would stabilize their cash flow. She thought liquidity meant safety. She didn't read the paperwork. My father never did. The mortgage note had been sold 18 months earlier. First Continental bundled several underperforming residential loans into a private asset pool. It was routine, institutional, unremarkable. What wasn't routine was who purchased a controlling interest in that pool. The holding company was registered under Meridian Equity Partners, a small private entity, quiet, strategic. I founded Meridian 2 years after graduating. Not flashy, not glamorous, just careful investments, distressed commercial leases, underperforming real estate, asset-backed notes. I didn't announce it. I didn't explain it. Because explaining things to people who already decided you were small stopped being productive. When Eleanor listed the house publicly, I didn't react emotionally. I reviewed the note. Interest rate, remaining balance, prepayment clauses, default triggers. Then I sent a certified letter. Notice of review. It wasn't threatening. It wasn't dramatic. It simply stated that any attempt to sell or refinance required noteholder consent, my consent. Eleanor called first. "You're interfering," she snapped. "No," I replied evenly. "I'm enforcing." My father called next. His voice was different this time. Less rage, more confusion. "What is this about a review?" "I signed the refinance," I said calmly. "You should read the assignment clause." Silence. Long. Heavy. "You're telling me you own the mortgage?" "Yes. I've owned it for 3 years." He sat with that. I could hear the shift, control reversing. "Why?" he asked finally. "Because security is better when documented." He didn't yell, he didn't accuse, he just breathed. 3 weeks later, the listing was pulled, quietly. No public explanation, no dramatic scene, just disappearance. But Eleanor wasn't done. She tried a different angle. She contacted the bank directly, tried to renegotiate through family misunderstanding. The bank directed her back to the noteholder, back to me. That's when she lost composure. "You're trying to punish us," she said. "I'm protecting my investment. You're destroying your own family." "No," I said. "I'm ending dependency." Then came the default notice. Not because they stopped paying, because they missed a reporting requirement, a small technical clause buried in page 7, failure to disclose occupancy change. They had attempted to rent the property short-term, without lender approval. The clause triggered review. Review triggered leverage. I had options: foreclosure, acceleration, restructuring. I didn't choose revenge. I chose restructure. 3 months after he screamed, "Get out," my father sat across from me in a neutral attorney's office. Not his living room, not under Eleanor's gaze, just him. "You win," he said quietly. "No," I replied. "I built." "There's a difference." He looked older, less rigid, more human. "What do you want?" he asked. When my father asked, "What do you want?" it wasn't defiance. It wasn't arrogance. It was fear. Not of me, of losing stability. I didn't answer immediately, because for once I wasn't reacting. I was choosing. "I want transparency," I said calmly. "I want the account reconciled. I want the refinance reviewed. And I want the house protected." "Protected from what?" he asked. "From chaos," I replied. Eleanor wasn't in the room. That mattered. Without an audience, the volume disappears. "You could take it," he said quietly. "You could foreclose." "Yes," I agreed, "but I won't. Not because you deserve mercy, but because I don't operate like that." That landed differently. "I'll restructure the note, lower the interest rate, extend the term, remove prepayment penalties." He blinked. "You'd help us?" "I'm protecting the asset, and the asset includes you." He exhaled slowly. Not relief, realization. For the first time in my life, he wasn't dictating terms. He was receiving them. The restructure finalized within 30 days. The property remained intact, the mortgage adjusted, the listing stayed down. Eleanor moved out 2 months later, voluntarily. Not dramatically, just quietly. When leverage disappears, attachment weakens. My father didn't call me impractical again. He didn't use "get a real job." He didn't mock art history. He didn't apologize properly either, but he corrected something. At Thanksgiving that year, he raised his glass again. He didn't hesitate. He said my name first, not out of guilt, out of awareness. He screamed, "Get out!" He thought I was powerless. He thought security was something he controlled. He forgot something simple. The quiet ones read contracts. The loud ones sign them. I didn't need a $45 million inheritance. I didn't need a mansion. I needed leverage. And I had it. If someone ever tells you to leave like you have nothing, remember this. Ownership isn't always visible. Sometimes it's buried in the fine print. And sometimes the person they dismiss is the one holding the deed. If this story resonated, share it with someone who's ever been underestimated. And remember, calm beats chaos always.